Welcome to another episode of Worst Collection Ever. This is the show where we tell you about the worst comic book collection in existence, and it just happens to belong to us. I'm Jen.
I'm Sean.
This is another podcast. This is another episode where we don't know what to do in the beginning, so I just sing a song about nothing.
Yeah, it's a good song.
I'm just singing about what I see or what I'm doing.
Song. Hey, did we talk about the lucha wrestling? Did we go to see?
Oh, I don't think we did.
No, we didn't. So we have stuff to talk about.
Oh, that's good.
So, well, I guess I'll kind of preface this, make a bit of a sort of an announcement, which
some people know, some people don't.
Some people know, some people don't, but
we moved.
We moved.
Yeah,
we moved to a different state.
Yeah, we left Los Angeles. We left California completely.
Yeah, we got the fuck out.
Yes, we have,
which is rare, apparently.
Yeah, apparently nobody ever leaves LA. Everybody hates it, but nobody moves.
Well, I just want to say that everybody that I would bring this up to, I'd be like, hey man, we're gonna be moving out of state. And they're like, oh my god, you're so lucky. This is so cool. And I'm like, not because they miss me, because they want me to leave, but because they're happy that I lived here and that I managed to find my way out of here.
Yeah, which I never hated LA.
No, I didn't hate either.
I know a lot of people do.
Don't. I still think it's a great place.
I still think it's cool. I mean, it's got its drawbacks, but what place doesn't? But I never had a problem with it, which is surprising because I thought I would hate it.
It was a good time, for... God, what was
8
it?
years.
Is it almost 8 years?
I'm going to round up because I think we left like 5 or 6 days early.
Fair enough.
From almost exactly 8 years.
Yeah, so pretty much 8 years, and we lived there, and and obviously Los Angeles is the hub for many different things in entertainment, and obviously, and thankfully I was able to continue to do podcast, learn how to do podcasting there and stuff like that. So, we still have a lot of friends there and a lot of connections and stuff like that. So, right now we moved to Colorado.
Yep.
Where Jen is from.
Yes. So I came home.
Jen came home, and we are experiencing some nice weather.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Like by nice, I mean not rippingly hot.
Yeah, we're not dying, and it's fantastic. I mean, Colorado does get hot. Let's not.
It does get hot. There were some days that
there were some days where it was fucking 90-something degrees.
I'm still doing shorts.
Oh well, yeah.
I haven't gotten out of the groove yet of wearing shorts and sandals.
It's still summer.
I know it's still summer, but I feel like but it's not. There's days that don't quite always feel like summer.
Well, yeah. I mean, once the sun goes down,
it's like in that modest fall summer phase.
Yeah. Well, it's August. We are definitely going to have a bunch more hot days before it's completely over. But we're going to actually have a fall. Yeah. It's going to be great. Yeah, and maybe I'll even fucking see snow. And it's going to be exciting.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Seasons.
So, yeah. So, we're adjusting to that. So yeah, getting to know where all the comic book stores are, doing some new stuff. We actually went to see wrestling.
Yeah.
Wrestling plus comedy.
Yeah, we haven't done any comic book shopping yet. We're gonna. That's gonna come soon because we have many more trips.
Well, we got to get shit situated first.
There's still stuff that needs to be figured out. But yes, we did go see wrestling at the Oriental Theater downtown in Denver, and it was Lucha Libre and Laughs.
Yes,
which Jen brought that to my attention, and it's kind of basically like a lucha vavoom.
Kind of, yeah.
But not as.
There's no burlesque.
There's no burlesque, and it's not as huge of a production.
Right.
No, but I mean, basically, it's two comedians that run the show, and then they come out and they bullshit, and then they go and sit down and they do commentary for the matches, which I didn't realize.
Neither did I, but I really liked it.
Yeah, like live commentary, and actually funny live commentary, because Lucha Vavoom sort of does it, but it's not something that you're able to
I don't know. It wasn't as good, I don't think. I only saw it once, so maybe it was that night, or whatever. But this I felt was really funny, and it was enjoyable. And then they do have stand-up comedians come out between the matches and do sets.
Yeah, they do bits.
So it was fun.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like the Oriental Theater, so there's a stage,
which is an old theater.
It's an old theater.
Yeah,
which apparently is still hosting they bring in I was looking at the concerts that are coming.
Oh,
so, like,
yeah.
Orgy's coming.
Yeah, Orgy's coming.
Skinny Puppy. No, Ogre.
Ogre
from Skinny
from
Puppy.
Skinny
Sorry,
Puppy.
excuse me. Ogre
Yeah, you
from
got
Skinny
that
Puppy
right.
is coming. Big D and the Kids Table for you ska fans.
Oh, man.
For you ska.
Oh, don't you worry.
Ska maniacs.
Don't you worry. Denver is still feeling ska.
Are we?
Yeah, it never went away. It's kind of like, as you know, when you turn on the radio, they're still playing, like, fucking Marilyn Manson in the middle of the day.
Well, that's just because that station is nuts. Because
that station is insane.
We're talking KBPI. Yeah, they're just nuts because they're just like
always have been.
They're like, hey, do you still like 2003? Well, here you go. Here's a bunch of sucks.
Don't worry, 2003 is alive and well.
Sean, do you remember when you had L-shaped sideburns? Well, here you go. Here's the soundtrack to your sideburns.
We knew you were coming, Sean. Here you go. Here's every song you loved.
Here's your Scott Stapp solo album.
Oh God!
They hand that to you when you walk into Denver.
They're like, welcome to Denver.
Welcome to Denver.
Here's just a stack of new metal CDs.
Here's Motogrator
and CDs, not MP3 CDs.
Here's Ministries Rio Grande Blood or whatever the fuck. I'm trying to think what the 2003 was. Antihistamina, whatever.
Oh, sure.
It was called, with the goat on it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Here you go, Sean. Here's some nothing face for you.
Well, here was the thing, because I actually looked into this. I don't know if you know, but Slayer was playing the other day.
Slayer's on a farewell tour.
They were at.
Well, the one guy died from spiders. You remember that?
Spiders?
He got bit by a spider and died.
What kind of spider?
Like a poisonous spider. He got
like a black widow, brown recluse. Do we know?
I think he got a brown recluse bite. And
those things are nasty.
Then he got necromancy on his arm.
Yeah, but that'll happen. Yeah.
And then he died.
Yeah.
Fucking Jeff Hanneman, R.I.P.
Did he not get it treated?
There was a period when I was afraid of spiders.
Everyone should be afraid of the brown recluse spider. They're gross. And they can do that. Their bites can necrotize your tissue and shit'll fall off and you can die.
Yeah.
It's gross. Mm-hmm. But they were playing not too far from where we are. They were playing.
Were they playing the Parker Art Center?
No, they were playing Fiddler's Green, which is not too far from where we are. And
coming to the Parker Art Center.
I did.
Wayne Brady, followed by Slayer
and Lamb of God. And I did look
all at once.
I did look into tickets, unless we wanted to pay like $500 and sit up front, or like I think it was still like $75 just to sit on the grass.
Oh, I don't want to sit on the grass for Slayer.
Look, that's the thing. I don't want to. No.
Here's the thing. I've seen Slayer once. I don't need to say it again.
No,
I know Slayer's a great band.
I'm not a huge Slayer fan, but I'm like, I just want to sit like in the very last row of seats.
I saw them in Mansfield, Massachusetts.
Oh shit.
That was a rough day.
Yeah. Sounds like it. So we missed Slayer.
Yeah, we missed Slayer,
but we did see some wrestling.
But we did some wrestling, and yeah, basically this guy comes out and he's like the host, and he does like a gimmick that's like, how would I best describe it?
Kind of like a lounge dude.
Yeah, lounge guy. He's like a lounge, but he's also like kind of modern. So
his comedy is modern.
His comedy is modern, but it's done in a style of like a lounge, like a insult comic.
Oh, kind of. He's like got like a ruffled shirt on, like a tuxedo from kind of like the 50s.
Like basically looks like John Waters.
Yeah, he does. And he comes out, he's like, he said he's straight from his residency in Duluth, maybe.
Or something, yeah, something
Gary,
like Indiana.
Oh, Gary, like Indiana. And he's just like, hey, it's me, Bobby, whatever his name is.
Bobby Valentine.
But then he's like biting and very funny.
Yeah. Well, very funny in the sense that like there's people in the crowd that are just, they're getting, I mean, nobody got like rowdy.
No, but people started getting drunk and yelling shit.
So he's just giving it right back to them. And like, yeah. He just turns to this one guy that was giving him shit. And he's like wearing a polo, and he just goes, "You're in sales." And I found it to be very funny.
We all did. It was
because
funny.
I mean, look, I no offense to anybody who's in sales, but if you're wearing a polo, you might get that joke thrown at you.
Yeah.
And then there was another one where he just kind of threw out like a local reference. It's like, oh, you don't get out of this town very much, and I was like, woo, local comedy. Because there's a lot of Denver comics.
Of course,
there's some folks that do some touring, but that, and then the wrestling, which I only recognized the main guy, DJ Z.
Oh, right, because he's in
TNA.
Yeah. The rest are just local dudes.
Maybe they'd probably do some touring. I don't know, but just a bunch of guys, assorted gimmicks of things.
Yeah.
Actually, they didn't really. It's a lot.
There was a yoga guy. That was the weirdest. I've never seen anybody pin two other people with a yoga mat before.
Well, not only that, but I know that is something people do. I've seen that done before.
Oh, I've never seen it.
But he did it with a moonsault, so he kind of had to hold the mat while he flipped.
Yeah.
And use that. So that's pretty impressive. Because, you gotta be able to think to safely land while holding a mat. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting show, and I definitely would go again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of fun. So if you have a chance to check that out somehow, or something of that ilk, definitely check out those kind of shows because those are a hoot. And I know Denver's got a bunch of cool wrestling things.
Yeah,
there's things there's things around here that I'm discovering.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the library. They have comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Like trades. I'm reading my Gene DeWolf one, which we're gonna actually. I was just as a teaser because I think we were do this for next week's show.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a book out of there because it's kind of like an intense like crime drama thing.
Sure.
But then after like the initial arc, there's a few issues in there that take place like a couple years later that involve this character, the Sin Eater. Who assassinated Gene DeWolf. Spoiler alert. It's an issue of the Spectacular Spider-Man, and it's just there's some stupidity going on.
Mm-hmm.
Regis Philbin is there.
Nice.
So
we always love that.
So we're look if you're bringing Regis Philbin into your mentally ill serial killer book.
Oh well, you're gonna end up on Worst Collection.
Then you're gonna have to end up. I'm sorry, you did. This is on you guys. This is on you, Marvel.
It really is. I mean, you should have known what you were getting into.
I was gonna give you a pass
when you wrote this before this show existed.
Yeah, I was gonna give you a pass, but then then I read that. I was like, well, now you're just asking for it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So nobody come at me. Or Jen, when you're like, hey, don't make fun of, Gene DeWolf, that's a great arc. I'm like, yeah, but then this is the shit that took place a couple years later. When Regis Philbin showed up and he's like, my weakness or whatever.
You can't expect us not to say anything when Regis Philbin shows up in a comic book.
Which it's the funny thing is,
it's like a rule.
And I'm just I'll give this a little bit. It doesn't even look like Regis Philbin. It looks like Peter Jennings, but they refer to him directly as Regis Philbin.
They were just like, draw just maybe the person who drew him didn't know what Regis Philbin looked like.
Maybe Regis Philbin wasn't seen until the late night, until after this comic.
Well, all of a sudden he just like walked into the spotlight and his teeth blinded everybody.
He's like, hey, I'm here.
He's like, bah! And everybody's like, oh my God, Regis.
Somebody found him in a box of Wheat Thins. Because he's small.
He is a wee man.
That's my only jokes I have for Regis Philbin.
Well, you gotta save him. We gotta
do involve Wheat Thin, so I have to write
You gotta write a tight 5 of Regis Wheat Thin humor, and then we'll do it on the show.
I can go for a box of Wheat Thins right now. That sounds really good.
That does sound good. We should go get some.
Oh, look, holy Toledo! It's Regis Philbin. He's bringing me a box of Wheat Thins. All right, great. But yeah, so yeah, things are fun, and I have other stuff we can talk about. I think we'll save that for the other show.
Sure.
Because there's a movie I watched.
Oh, well, there's a movie I'm looking forward to.
There's actually a few movies we watched.
Yeah, well, there's a movie I'm looking forward to, but I won't get to see it until next year.
What's that?
That movie is called Hard Powder.
Oh.
Starring Liam Neeson as a snowplow driver who has to get revenge on the cartel that murdered his son.
If there's ever a movie...
I can't wait for this movie. It's going to be so bad, and I love every second of it.
I'm gonna lay this out there. If we ever get a chance to go back to LA, and we go to It's a Wrap on Magnolia Boulevard, and they're selling clothes from Hard Powder.
We're buying everything.
I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna dress exactly.
You know what? I think they probably filmed
the entire outfit because there's a store in LA called It's a Wrap where you could buy, like all the wardrobe departments go like, we
don't need this shit.
We got too many shirts on the fucking Malcolm in the Middle, so let's give them to this store, and then you could go and buy them.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't it like the Ghost Whisperer?
There was a lot of Ghost Whisperer
because they had just like canceled the show or something. And there was just all this.
How long was that show on?
Oh, it was on forever. And it was just like all this shit. And it has tags to tell you like where it came from. It'll be like, this is from the Ghost Whisperer. This is from, I don't know, Glee, whatever. But they probably didn't film Hard Powder.
Oh, you have to go to like to the Swedish, to like Alaska's version.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably filmed in Vancouver. Right?
Oh, the Canadians are so lucky. So, but I'll save some of that stuff for next time. But we have a book this week.
Oh man, do we have a book?
And we have a book, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So we'll take a break and we'll come back. We'll talk about our book for this week.
Take the Earth's mightiest heroes, each an invincible champion of justice, and band them together to assemble the legendary Justice League of America. For 261 issues and 3 annuals, the DC Universe was defended from threats on Earth and beyond by this legendary team, operating from a cave in Happy Harbor to a satellite orbiting 22,300 miles above the Earth to Detroit. Justice's First Dawn, a classic Justice League of America podcast, will follow the League through all their evolutions. Please join your host, Mike Peacock, as I seek to cover all of the issues of the classic pre-crisis Justice League of America series. Through the magic of the JLA transporter, each issue will be randomized, with special episodes covering a complete story arc if needed. Along with the issue coverage, we shall also look at what the then current members of the Justice League were up to in solo appearances in other comics for the JLA Cover Month issue. So do not hesitate to activate your JLA signal device for Justice's First Dawn, a classic Justice League of America podcast on classicjla.podbean.com or by subscribing through iTunes.
All right, we're back here on Worst Collection Ever with our book for this week. We are doing World's Finest Comics, number 233 from October 1975.
Mm-hmm.
As we promised.
Yes, we talked about this, I believe, at the beginning of last show.
Yeah, we talked about, I think it was something about whether or not we've done any Super Sons comics, which we did. There was an issue, and now I'm blanking on the actual issue, but super listener Russell Bragg helpfully pointed that out to us.
Yes,
it was one of our early issues.
Yes, but it was not this issue.
No, it was the one we did had to do with Batman and Superman framing the Super Son, or somebody framed Batman and Superman about murdering.
Oh,
and they're like, "Oh,
that used to happen a lot in those old books. Everybody got framed for murder, a lot.
Yeah, we're getting framed for murder a lot in these books. I mean, it's a Bob Haney thing, which, by the way, Bob Haney.
Oh, Jesus, Bob Haney.
I mean, look, we had it came up that we haven't, because we've done a bunch of Bob Haney pretty recently.
We definitely have.
I feel like Bob Haney and Fabian Nicieza.
Oh yeah,
are like two heavy staples of our Worst Collection Ever diet.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely.
Because we just did a Fabian Nicieza issue last week too.
Yes, except Fabian Nicieza isn't like a horrible misogynist, unlike Bob Haney, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. But we haven't done a Super Sons in a while. I think the last time we did one was like I think it was like episode 10.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And we did it. I think there was also Blue Devil that we did along with it.
Probably. That sounds right.
I think. I mean, I could easily just look, but I know that Russell was very helpful to point that out to us, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Russell.
Yeah, DC Comics Presents show. Please check out his podcast. So, World's Finest Comics. So here's what I love. Something I love about this cover is the logo, because it's like World's Finest, and then it's like tiny very tiny words, just comics.
I actually like this cover a lot. I love the color scheme that they used. I know that's a really weird thing to say.
No, I get you.
It's like an orange going into yellow, so it's kind of like a sunset thing behind this green one-eyed monster that is like holding Batman in one of its tentacles and like snarling at Superman. I don't know. It's just very bright. It's actually, I think it would be a cool poster.
It would be.
I actually really do.
I wouldn't mind it without anything on it.
Like, you mean just, no like, words? Textless? Oh yeah, no. I think it'd be cool. Yeah. I just really like it. I think it's cool looking.
It's a very cool superhero sci-fi looking poster.
Yeah, it is. I like it a lot.
So as Jen mentioned, we have a monster, and then at the bottom on the ground, there's a woman. Dressed as it looks like a police officer holding a rifle, trying to presumably shoot this monster. I don't know.
And then there's these two other women holding shotguns or rifles, maybe, and they're wearing bell bottoms, as it was the style at the time.
War bottoms.
And they're also going to shoot this monster, and this monster is saying, Superman? I'm sorry. It says, surrender or I command my females to kill your friends.
Okay, so they are pointing at the monster, or pointing at Batman.
Oh, they're pointing at Batman.
Because at the bottom it says, world without men.
Oh my God, could you just imagine what a horror?
Oh man.
Yeah.
So the story, as is the aforementioned World Without Men, and this is Batman and Superman and their super sons.
And the super sons to me are one of the most ridiculous inventions that DC Comics has ever created.
So let's just kind of go back here and think. I'm trying to recall.
I don't know when they first showed up.
So what's the idea? So the
idea is that they are
Batman Jr. is the product of Batman and
there's no mother. That's the thing. They'll say I don't believe their mothers are ever identified. Now I could be wrong about that, but at least in the ones I have read, their mothers are never identified. They look exactly the same as their fathers. They have the exact same names as their fathers, and they wear the same costumes.
Yeah.
So basically they were created because people wanted to do stuff with young Superman and Batman, but they didn't want to use Superboy because you can't use Batman's not around. So I think that's why this was created, to give them more of a hip.
Yeah, well,
edge.
basically.
And their hair's even drawn a little longer because it's the 70s.
Yeah, and they kind of I feel like they have them in more things of that era.
Yeah, and they don't have to. They talk differently, obviously, because they're younger and hipper or whatever.
Yeah, because they're watching the Mod Squad.
They're cool, guys. Man, they're just baby boomers. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's ridiculous. So we have on this first page, Superman, Batman, Super Sons, and we have in the sky kind of
in the background
helpfully watching over them.
Are they ghosts?
I don't know. I'm how are they seeing this?
Because are they? So here's the because let's set this up here. So
it's Superman and Batman, the real ones.
The real ones. They're in the background, kind of as apparitions. They're no, watch out, Super Sons.
Yeah, going that way is danger. That's Batman's. What does he say here? He says
Batman's Bruce Clark. Don't take that turn. I can sense terrible danger. And Superman's basically you know what? They can't hear us, and fuck them. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's kind of they really are ghosts, but I don't think they're dead.
No, they're not. They're not. They're just.
I know, but I mean,
maybe Green Lantern's doing something to kind of.
I was gonna say they're kind of like a guardian thing.
Yeah.
Are they watching through an orb or some shit?
Yeah, Green Lantern's they're at the satellite, and they're yo, can we look at our kids?
Is there a magic mirror?
Is there a magic mirror? I can talk to our kids. They're what? How do you have kids?
Yeah, where?
I've never heard of this child. It's yeah, it's Batman Jr. Superman Jr. Look, there they are.
Yeah, and they're teenagers.
Yeah. We've had them for 15
or at
years.
Least young adults. I don't know exactly how old they are. I think they're a little older. They might be 20.
Yeah, probably 18, 20.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're legal adults, but
they're not teenagers. But
they're not 14,
adults.
But they're
dumb enough to be teenagers, but they're man enough to be adults.
Yeah, well, they're man enough to fuck.
Man enough to fuck.
Don't you worry about that.
That's what I would call one of the trades. Super Sons, Volume 1. Man enough to fuck.
So, this is so weird. So, we have Clark Jr. and Bruce Jr. on a boat. A ferry, I'm sorry, because they have a mystery machine.
Yeah, they have they have a mirth
it's a mystery machine.
It's basically a mystery machine, but basically they're doing
it's the same kind of van. It's a mystery machine.
Basically, we're doing Easy Rider.
Yeah, and they're on a ferry in some swamp. I don't think it's ever discussed where. And they're hey, there's 2 signs in the said swamp.
Mm-hmm. Swamp signs.
Where it says state capital this way and this place called Belton that way. And they're hey.
You can get to the state capital via swamp?
Yeah, you can get to whatever state this is. And I'm just going to read what this says here. Because Superman's hey, we should go to the state capital. We can phone home. And Bruce goes, check, Clark, kiddo. And this old dude's funky ferry must have carried Jeb Stuart's cavalry. But dig that other road. Looks real fascinating. No G.
Shut up.
What's Belton, old timer? Because, obviously everybody else is old. These 2 are hip. And they're going to head towards Belton, which is a ghost town. And this guy tells him, hey, don't go that way. You might not come back. And he laughs. He goes, heh, hee, haw. Ha, hee, haw.
He's hee, hee, haw.
So they got off They drive their mystery machine onto the shore, and they're like, we're going to Belton because we're hip adventure dudes and we want to see what's going on this cool place.
So they're driving through the swamp, and also at one point they're talking about eating snacks here real quick, because it's something like, they're like, oh, we can get a town. Maybe we can get a bowl of ghost toasties.
Yeah,
I'm tired of monoxide-flavored chocolate bars.
Like, what is...
I know, I probably because they taste like the car.
Oh, yeah, maybe, I guess.
Also, what the hell is Batman eating chocolate for?
Also, can I get some ghost toasties?
Can I get some monoxide-flavored chocolate bars?
I would like to try some ghost toasties. I don't know. I mean, is it like Count Chocula? Or is it like Boo Berry?
No, I think he's talking about weed. I think he's talking about edibles, to be quite honest.
Is he calling them ghost toasties? Well, maybe it's not weed. Maybe it's LSD, and it's like the stamp has like a picture of a ghost on it. And that's a ghost toasty.
How cool
because I mean, we're talking, this is the 70s. Oh, is it a Quaalude with a ghost on it?
How about this? How about we get ourselves a table at Denver Comic Con now that we're here,
and we sell ghost toasties?
We sell ghost toasties. We see how we see how the people come in. It's like, hey, I know what you're doing, man. I got you.
Hey, weed's legal here. How about some ghost toasties?
It's what I call blueberry mixed with weed.
Ew, God, that sounds awful.
Well, no, you just...
what if ghost toasties just blueberry mixed with Count Chocula?
Ooh, ghost toasties.
Yeah. They see like a poster and it's just like a giant eye. And it has like mascara on. And they're like, oh, is it like an ad for makeup? Broads.
Well, look, we'll be honest. There's a ton.
Oh, there's so much misogyny.
I think we need to kind of restrain ourselves here, because every panel there's something to unpack, because this is a Bob Haney comic, and we are...
This episode could probably be like 6 hours long.
This is like
if we let ourselves talk about every panel.
This is like the Golden Corral.
Okay.
Of comic book joke material.
Yeah.
For podcasting.
Do you want to go to Pizza Hut tonight?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
This is staying in, by the way.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about, there's an actual fucking Pizza Hut still in existence.
Pizza Hut's still a thing?
Not in many places.
What do you mean?
I mean,
it's gotta be something. Wait.
Isn't there that thing online where it's just like, this is old Pizza Huts that have now been turned into like whatever else?
Yeah, but Pizza Hut's still doing things.
Are they?
I don't know.
I haven't been to a Pizza Hut in years. I think we should.
We're gonna go tonight.
Fuck yeah, we are. All right. Anyway,
so they get to this house. They get to this town, and they're like, "Oh man, sounds like an old ghostly geezer pounding away." They come in, and it's
like a blacksmith thing.
Blacksmith.
And they walk in, and they're like, "A girl doing manual labor," because that's her job. And she like swings this thing at him because Clark is like, "Oh, let me help you, woman who literally does this every day for a fucking living." And she's like, "Don't touch me, dude," and like swings around with... Rightfully so. I mean, this is a strange man who just walked into her place of employment and started trying to touch her. So she like swings the hot poker towards him and is like, "Hey, stay back, dude." And he's like, "Oh my God, this crazy dame would have burned my eyes out." What does he call them? Super tissues or something?
He's like, "Look." He's like, "You know what? That was nuts, but I have super eye tissues."
That's right, super eye tissues.
Even though my glasses are probably now fucking melted.
To my face,
which, but since I have super eye tissues, my melted glasses will not stick to my eyeballs.
I also would like to just point out that every single time the women in this comic justifiably are like, "Hey, strange man who just walked up, maybe you shouldn't touch me," they act like these women are crazy.
This would be the same thing.
Like they're just out of their minds that they wouldn't want a dude they've literally never seen before to walk up and grab them from behind.
Well, literally, if they're walking in, they're like, "Hey, we're in this town. Hey,
we're strangers.
We're strangers. But do you guys have a ghost toasties?"
Yeah.
I mean,
if they just were like, "Hey, excuse me, ma'am, could you tell me where to get some ghost toasties?" She'd probably been like, "Yeah, corner store or whatever." He's just like, "Let me help you do your job," and he starts coming for her.
Yeah.
And then they're portrayed like they're the ones. The women are portrayed like they're the ones who are like just out of their minds.
Yeah.
And irrational, and you're like, dude, no.
To use a current example, it'd be like walking into a Pizza Hut and going into the back and just being seeing a woman who's like, "A woman making pizza. Hey, let me help you."
Exactly. Like,
and
what
then
the
her
fuck
being
are
like,
you
"What
doing?" Then she throws you into the oven.
Nice.
Then you're like, oh, my super eyes protected me from this pizza oven.
My super skin is protecting me from this hot pizza oven.
I don't think they have a pizza oven at Pizza Hut. It's just a giant microwave.
Maybe we'll find out. Hey, maybe something can... Maybe...
Well, if we go in the back and offer our help to the people who work there.
Let's do that. Because, Pizza Hut is on volunteer basis. So you go, and you can stuff some cheese into some bread.
Did you see that onion thing that I showed you? Where it was just like a Pizza Hut unveils a cheese stuffed delivery boy.
It's just this horrible Photoshop of a man with cheese coming out of his eyes.
It was disgusting.
Which I kind of wish that happened in this book.
Right?
Look, Bob Haney,
I mean, you could have given me Cheese Man.
You could have had it where you got stuffed with cheese. And so they go out. And...
they go to the actual town, and it's a town full of ladies.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, hey, babes, dames, oh, yeah, boobs, woo-wooga. Like, you know that in Looney Tunes, that, like, wolf?
Yeah.
Where his eyes get all big? That's literally what they are right now.
Basically, anytime in a cartoon where a man sees a hot lady and starts freaking the fuck out.
That's
basically
what
these two dummies are doing right now.
Yeah, and so they, like, park on the side of the street, and immediately they get a ticket from, like, the policeman, and they continually call every woman they encounter Toots, babe, sweetheart, like, you name it. Just like they're just like, hey, Toots, no need to give me a ticket, baby.
Oh, I love this part here where
like, that's gonna not be condescending at all.
Well, this is my favorite part. So one of my favorite parts is like, the girl comes up and she's like, because this girl comes up to the officer and she's like, having trouble, officer. She says, I'm Sister Sarah, Belton's mayor, and to which Bruce responds, Mayor Doll.
Yeah, but the women are the ones who are wrong. Don't forget.
Right.
According to Bob Haney. And you're like, dude, what the fuck? And he's like,
Mayor Doll.
Mayor Doll. He's calling people Toots. Like, both of them. They're just, it's awful. And, but the women are like supposed to be crazy. And they're like, hey, Mayor Doll. We didn't see the no parking signs. We haven't got that kind of bread. Because they got a $500 ticket. And I'm like,
You're Bruce Wayne.
You're Bruce Wayne.
You're Bruce Wayne Jr.
You have so much money.
You're Superman. Also,
you have 500. You know what? The bottom of your shoes are made of stacks of hundreds.
Also, I want to point out, you have Superman Jr. sitting right there, who I guess could fly.
I'm assuming.
He could literally be like, fuck your ticket. Bruce, get in this van. I'm going to fly this van to Metropolis, and we're going to and they don't even have our mailing addresses.
Yeah.
We're trying to parse out some logic here.
There is none. It's just cocaine.
It's Ghost Toasties.
It's Ghost Toasties, and it's Bob Haney being really pissed off at the women's movement. Is what this comic book is. So, of course, Bruce Wayne's like, "Hey, I can't pay that ticket," which he totally can. And he goes and he tries again to touch this woman, and she's like, "Don't fucking touch me!" And he's like, "But what?" And they're like, "We live here because we don't like men. We don't want men to fucking touch us." Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Oh, real heavy women's lib stuff, but and this is Bruce says, but baby," he's talking to the mayor, "but baby, without men, how will you have lovers, husbands, families?" Almost like he's never heard of lesbians. It's
you might not have.
You know, women can have sex together, like without dudes, right? So as all that's happening, there's a woman who's like,
he hasn't developed his own curriculum yet to learn about lesbians.
He's like, I would like to investigate these lesbians.
Give me that comic, Bob Haney. The Super Sons discover lesbians.
How did Bob Haney die? Was it just like a massive overdose of cocaine, or was it just old?
How did Bob Haney die? Probably was beaten to death by women.
It's like that.
Yes, I was murdered.
Exactly. From Conan used to do this bit called The Singing Ghost with
Artie Kendall.
Artie Kendall, the Singing Ghost, who was performed by Brian Stack, and it is so fucking funny. It's one of my favorite bits ever. But it would come out and he would just like sing horrible songs about women and like, you know, whatever. The Irish, and Conan would just go, "I'm surprised you weren't murdered." And he goes, "But I was murdered."
I was murdered on the stage.
I was murdered right here.
Yeah. Look up Artie Kendall, by the way.
It's really funny. It's enjoyable. We're gonna have to post one of those to the page.
He's a Bob Haney character.
He really is. He's if Bob Haney was a lounge singer.
Can Bob Haney sing? He sure can.
He can now. So as all this is going on, I'm assuming this woman is like, her job is to clean the gutters or something.
She's roofing.
Sure, a roofer.
Shingling.
And she like slips and she almost falls off the roof and she's like holding to the gutter and she's calling for help. And Clark, he's like, well, I could just fly up there and get her. I should do that. And they're like, no, don't touch her. Men can't touch women here. Let us go get our rescue force. So like, if there were no superheroes, let us call the people who are supposed to help. Well, they try. Unfortunately, she slips and this woman dies.
Yes.
And they're like, well, if you crazy broads just would have like let us expose our superpowers or something. I'm not exactly sure how this works.
Basically, they're like, look, if you would have just let us help you, maybe she wouldn't have died. And they're like,
well, she died.
She's dead.
Yeah.
Mayor Roofer is dead.
Yeah. And then here, Bruce says this. She's like, this is very, the mayor says, this is very sad, but it cannot be helped. I mean, if they were not there, she would have died.
Yeah.
And so Sister Jane knew what she was doing, that in doing a man's work, she ran the same risks. It's true. And Bruce just goes, while you cold-blooded witch, you and Big Sister Sybil and this whole weirdo town belong in a freak show, touch you, I ought to slap some sense into your pretty faces. Hey, hot chicks, I should beat you.
You want to listen to a man?
So they get scooped up in like a bulldozer.
Now I feel this is worse than making fun of Jing the Wolf.
Oh, this is awful. So they scoop.
How did this get past the authority?
This is the 70s. It's the 70s.
Why am I even asking these questions?
It's the 70s. That's all you need to know. It's the 70s, and people like Bob Haney really hated the fact that women wanted to, like, wear pants and get paid for jobs.
Literally wear the pants.
So they scoop them up into this, like, bulldozer, and they dump them into what looks like a trash chute.
No, which
says built. Look, it looks like a trash chute. It says,
well, right, it does. Actually, what it is it looks like the jail, for some reason, has a book deposit slot outside of it.
Put men in it.
And so it just when it opens, you dump, but only for men. I don't think they dump women in there like that.
No, they walk them through the front door. They just like dump men into a book deposit
Women
slot.
have dignity in this town. Men just get dumped into the book deposit slot.
You know what? They really need to just take this panel and it needs to become like a Twitter meme where it just says men are trash. And it's just dumping them in. So whenever you need to use that, it's right here.
I do like the concept of a jail having a book deposit slot, but for bodies.
It's a body deposit slot.
Yeah.
So they get dumped in, and Bruce is like pissed, and he's like, "Why didn't you stop this?" And he's like, to Clark, and Clark's like, "I don't know. I mean, besides the fact that he's not wearing his Superman costume, he's in his civilian identity."
Yeah.
He says, "I'm thinking there's more than meets the big eye than we know. So I'm kind of just trying to see what's going on." So when they stand up, they realize that there's just like a bunch of other dudes in this cell with them who are all like,
they're all like, "Yo, I came through here and then I got
I got a parking ticket and they threw me in here." And they're like, every once in a while they'll take out a dude and he'll never come back, and it's those crazy dames have murdered him. I think it's death by snoo snoo.
Yep.
From Futurama, because, that's how they're going to have families, Bruce. They worked it out.
Yeah. They don't got to fucking tell you.
Yeah. They don't have to fucking tell you how this works.
How dare you don't tell Bruce Wayne Jr. Jr.
Oh, my God. So eventually, like, they're sitting there at night, and Clark can hear through the wall the mayor and the policewoman, who, by the way, is, like, the sexiest policewoman. You would assume she would want to wear pants.
Lady cop.
She looks
like Zinda Blake.
Yeah, she's kind of wearing like a less sexy version of like a slutty Halloween costume.
She's just like Lady Blackhawk. To be honest.
Yeah, she is. So they're talking about it. They're like, "Oh, I don't know. I just feel so bad."
Real quick, I do like this panel here of Bruce.
Clark
looking at his John Denveriest.
Oh yeah,
listening through the wall.
Yeah, he really does look very intense. That really does look like the cover of an album. And they're like, we restored this ghost town because we wanted to, basically live without men. but we can't keep these dudes in jail forever because that's, wrong. And they're like, but
well, you just you have like a slot where you dump men into a building.
But they're like, oh wait, this is wrong, but we're doing it because the eye tells us to.
Yeah.
So they're finally like, well, we can break out of jail by, I don't know what he pulls here, just like the slot.
He just pulls the wall apart.
Yeah, he pulls the wall apart.
So Superman's like,
somehow the other men don't see this happening.
Well, hear
this happening.
Oh no, he pulls him through the deposit.
Yeah.
He opens up the deposit and he's like, haha, fuck you other men.
Yeah, and they leave him in there.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, those other men never come back. So
no, they're dead.
I'm assuming they all die. They get out and they go into their hippie van.
They get their hippie outfits.
Where we didn't mention this before, but there is a lovely panel at the very beginning when they're driving into town of their costumes both just like hanging like on the hooks in the back of the van.
And they're like, oh, I'm glad they didn't look at our van. They would have known that we were Superman and Batman Jr.
So they like get their costumes on because they want to go to the funeral for this woman who died earlier. Yeah. So the funeral starts, and they're like, well, we're going to go follow them.
Well, I like this. So here's this line where it's like, they're like, okay, good, we have our clothes. And they're like, hey, what's that crying, marching feet? And it's like, oh, it's a funeral procession. Well, it's time. They're going to be joined by 2 male mourners.
And then
these guys are so hard up just to do anything with these women.
Oh, they really are.
They're like, yeah, you can let us mourn with you.
It was the 70s, man. Everybody was fucking.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just driven over to the next town, I'm sure, and found some willing ladies to fuck with.
Yeah.
But no. But then we have my favorite panel, I think, in any comic book.
Yeah.
It is Superman and Batman go into the swamp to follow this like boat.
Yeah.
To the burial site. Superman swims and he holds Batman up like he's a server at a restaurant. And he holds his like hand up.
For some reason, I thought he was sitting on his back. No, he's on
his hand. So Superman's like a server on a restaurant holding a tray above his head, and Batman is just sitting on his palm. And as Superman swims through the swamp, it's probably
we got asked to palm in this book.
It absolutely asked to palm. It's my favorite fucking panel. It's so dumb. It's so ridiculously dumb that why wouldn't he just like? Why wouldn't he also swim? I don't know.
Why not just also fly? I mean, I know you're trying to sneak around, but I mean, you can fly.
It's nighttime.
Yeah.
Just go high.
Just go really high and then just come down really quietly.
Right? Into the trees somewhere. You'll be fine. So they go to this, like, pillar where there's a giant eye and...
Giant eyeball.
The eye talks, I guess.
Basically, so what's going on is the eye's like...
This really is like that snoo thing.
Yeah, basically, like, the eye is like, basically...
Because remember, they had the fembot voiced by B. Arthur, and she talked through, like, a thing just like this?
Right.
Yeah, anyway.
So basically, they're, like, having this funeral procession. They're like, okay, sad that this woman died, but we have, like, also people that are getting kind of soft here. So the mayor and the lady Blackhawk, they're kind of being soft here. So now you have to go back and, like, kill all the men.
Yeah, just go kill all of them.
Go kill men. I do like here, though, where they're like, they said we're going to have to go kill Batman and, Bruce and Clark Jr. And it's like, oh, I'm glad we're not in that cell. It's like, well, they're just going to kill all those other dudes.
Yeah, those other guys are dead now.
The other dude just got a parking ticket. Now he can never see his family again because you dipshits.
Right? You should help them. That's your job.
Yeah.
So all the women go back to kill the men. Clark and Bruce are like, let's go talk to the big eye. I forget what he asks here. He's like, Big Sister Sybil, we want some important, we have questions, but they're kind of upset because they walk up to Big Sister Sybil, who's a big monolith with a giant eye, and she doesn't recognize them. And they're like, wait a second, Batman and Superman are world famous, man. And then
what a piece of shit.
And of course...
You don't know who I am?
And then so Batman's like, we demand to know why you turn these gullible girls against men. You're like... I think it had something to do with men. But don't tell him.
I think it's men.
I think it's the men.
I think he's talking about you.
He's talking about you. So this goes to of course, the God forbid, like, women want equal rights, you must automatically hate men.
Uh-huh.
That we still deal with today.
Oh, yeah. More things change, more things stay the same.
Pretty fucking much. And so they're like, well, you know what? These women were always against you. They're just here. And I spoil loyalty, whatever. And then Batman gets really, really pissy. And he's like, you got to be kidding. You and these poor mixed up chicks are freaky. A menace to men and a menace to society in general.
But they weren't bothering anybody.
No, and he's like yelling at this. It's like he's literally like the dude in the bar who like somebody steps on his foot and he's like, you want to go, bro? Because Superman's actually like holding him back and telling him to calm down.
Oh, he's going full Ray Lewis on this shit.
He really is. He's like, I'm gonna fight you. And you're like, you're gonna just punch a monolith, dude. It's like, it's fine.
Please
like,
do.
Actually, I'd love to see that. If he just started like punching.
Please punch a standing structure.
A giant stone. He just, girls don't like me in this town. And he starts punching it. So the Eye like grabs him in a force field, which Superman, I guess, punches the force field, but it kind of just looks like he punches Batman.
Pretty much. I mean, he punches the force field because the force field will allow, basically, will disperses because he engages more force on the force field. I guess that's how that works.
And so he grabs Batman and he like flies away.
Yeah, and
he puts him in a tree.
They go, they head up in a tree.
Which is also a great panel because he just lays him down in a tree. Yeah. And he's just like, oh man, that force field.
He hides him in a tree, and then he's like, and they're like, oh, well, the women are, right. They got dogs.
They're coming to find us.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, now we're the targets, and those women are coming to find us. And this is where Clark goes like, oh, well, I'm half Kryptonian, so I don't have a smell.
Right. That's right. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Is that a thing? That's not a thing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not a thing now.
You can't tell me these two, like, I'm assuming they're just dripping in whatever the 1970s version of Axe body spray was. So what is that, Old Spice?
Old Spice, yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me that these two, we're gonna fuck all the chicks dudes are just reeking of Old Spice.
Uh-huh.
And like, I don't know, hair gel? I don't know. It's the 70s.
Guys, the 70s, for those of you that were done in the 70s, what were you wearing?
I have pictures of my dad from the 70s where he's got like a handlebar mustache, so.
Maybe your dad can answer that question.
Well, I know he does.
Did you wear deodorant in the 70s?
I certainly wore deodorant, and probably Old Spice.
That's the same thing.
No. Old Spice used to only be cologne.
Oh.
So now they make like Old Spice deodorant and stuff and like body wash, but it only used to be cologne.
Probably some consort hairspray. Do you want to hear a funny story?
Yes.
I think I've told
Is
this
it about Old Spice?
No, it's about consort hairspray. Because
wait, is that a hairspray brand?
Yeah, it was like old man hairspray.
Oh no, I don't know this.
It had a picture of like a man with like Ted Koppel hair on it. But it was like a drawing, and it was like
okay,
right. So the one time I and I felt bad about this at the time. I was like 7th grade, and my friend, I'm not going to say his name, but you can already guess which one.
Oh, I think I know.
Me and another friend of ours were fucking around in his bag, in his gym bag, because we're going to go like weightlifting or something.
Uh-huh.
And I was looking in his bag, and he had consort hairspray in there, and I go, look at so and so's old man hairspray, haha, because he was, because he has a coif.
But not only that, but like, where did he get it?
I don't know. It was 1993. You can still get old man shit back then.
Was it discontinued back then?
I don't know.
Like with a drawing of a dude with Ted Koppel hair?
Yes.
On the can?
It was in
93?
Yes. That's what he had in his bag.
Are you sure it wasn't his grandpa's?
That's what he had. Maybe it was.
Or his uncle's?
Maybe it was.
I'm going to guess it was his uncle's.
It was probably something that he had on hand. So
I know who you're talking about.
But so I was like, aha, look at so-and-so's old man hairspray, right? And then I think he kind of caught us or something, and I was like, he's like, you guys go through my bag? I was like, no, it was so-and-so for so, and then this gentleman, this friend of mine kicked my other friend.
But it was your fault?
But it was my fault. And my other friend, had to go run in the bathroom and hide because he was really upset because he got kicked, and eventually it came out that I was like, yeah, I did it. And he's like, Sean, why would you do that? Because I've been doing leg press and my legs are really strong now in 7th grade. So I had a lot of force when I kicked so-and-so. I'm sorry. Consort hairspray has a lot of memories. That's like,
yeah. Well, I'm sure Superman is wearing it.
Oh yeah.
So they get this idea to like mask the scent. They're gonna switch costumes.
This is dumb.
So
this is only
Superman and Batman switch costumes. So Superman as Batman, I don't know. I don't even know. So whatever. They fucking switch costumes. So like masking sense or something.
So they can take Superman. So Batman as Superman as Batman can lead the people off the scent.
Sure.
Lead the dogs away. So Batman can go and
investigate or something.
I think he fights an alligator here or something.
I don't know what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, because Batman as Superman could go investigate.
Yeah, so then he watches the lady cop and the mayor, like, walk into the monolith.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh man, I gotta do that. So he, like, runs head first into it, which I kind of wish he had just hit his head and fallen backwards.
Well, somehow he kayfabes himself into saying... He kayfabes the monolith into saying, like...
To, like, let him in.
Because the monolith's like, hey, get the fuck away. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm Superman, and you can't stop me. You can't stop me like you stopped Batman, even though I am Batman.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So he
also we forgot to point out the sexy changing scene here.
Oh, that's right. They're both shirtless.
Yeah.
Hubba.
There's a scene here where they're just shirtless.
I mean, look at him.
They have the same exact hair.
They look exactly the same. Like, look at him. He's just like peeling his costume off, and he's like, yeah. And Batman's looking at him like, yeah.
This is how slash fiction started.
100%.
This panel right here.
And then they fucked.
And then they fucked.
And then they fucked. So he like goes into the monolith, and I guess I don't exactly know how this works. He sees like the ghost town, but it's all like fucked up.
Yeah.
And then he sees these giant like alligator creatures who like die. They drown in the water. They're gonna attack him.
There's this quicksand. So there's
it's quicksand. Here we are with quicksand again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Quicksand making a return to our show. So the quicksand. Yeah. So for some reason, Batman as Superman does not sink into the quicksand. Oh wait, I know why he doesn't. He's in the quicksand, and then these other monsters come after him, but then they start falling, and one of the alligator monsters just goes, I want to live.
Another great panel. There's a bunch of good panels in here because it's literally like...
I think I might use that panel to promote our show this week.
Yeah, it's a panel of this alligator face like right above quicksand, and it's just yelling, I want to live.
Yeah.
And then he's like, that sounded like a lady.
Yeah, I know. Batman as
like
Superman.
The mayor or whatever.
Sound like a lady. And so Batman shows back up. And Superman as Batman shows up, and he's like, yo, pull me out of this joint.
Yeah, I don't exactly know how this happened because I thought they were inside like the monolith.
Well, they are. I think Batman says that, or Superman says, as Batman says, I vibrated my molecules to fly through this wall.
Oh, that's right. So now we meet who the actual I is, and it's the monster.
Real quick before I want to point out, Batman as Superman in Superman's costume does not drown. Because as Batman...
Oh, that's right.
Because Superman as Batman...
It's his costume has like buoyancy or something.
Yeah, Superman as Batman is just like watching Clark or Bruce sit there with just with his head above water, and he's like, yo, pull me out. And he's like, I know. He's like, I might drown. And Superman's like, you're not going to drown because my outfit doesn't let people drown. Won't let me drown.
But you're like, what? Okay, I mean...
My costume doesn't absorb anything. That's as far as it'll let you sink.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. Physics.
You don't die in quicksand because your clothing absorbs quicksand. Like, that's not how it fucking works. Or in water. Like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. So now we meet the
monster from the cover.
The monster from the cover, and they're like, hey, I'm hideous. I was banished here to this planet because I was ugly, and now I'm going to make pretty people ugly. That's why I killed those women and turned them into alligator monsters.
Yes.
And that's why I've conned them all into living in this town without men.
Right.
In believing that they have rights.
Right.
And stuff. And so then they start fighting this monster. They also change costumes at some point. Yeah, they do change back.
Yeah.
And so Superman smashes.
Basically, they're fighting this monster here, and at some point, Superman flies away
and grabs the actual like monolith thing and smashes.
Which I thought. So wait, I thought. Okay.
I thought they were inside of it. That's
so apparently they're outside of it.
Somehow
so he
they're
grabs
outside
a
of it,
and then he throws it on top of this monster.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, it's also a spaceship, and it's going to take this monster back to its home planet."
Yeah, it's something like some sort of like escape device
where somehow this monster is like a citizen of a place full of humanoids, and they're like, "Haha, you're ugly. Your sentence is to live in a cage full of mirrors for the rest of your life."
Yeah, and
deal with the fact that you're a fucking hideous monster. And it's like, okay. And so then later on,
I guess this is the end.
All the ladies are like, "Oh no, this creature was making us do terrible things." And then fucking gross ass Bruce is like, "Well, the worst part, the only antidote to stop the change is this." And he starts kissing all these ladies. He's like, "Line up, girls."
Because we find out apparently that we forgot to mention this. So the monster was like, yeah, if a man touched a woman, then the spell will be broken.
Yes, if a lady who believes that she deserves rights and education and equal pay gets touched by a man, don't you worry, she'll immediately stop thinking that she should have those things and want to do nothing but cook and clean and give you babies.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Yeah. No. But apparently in this book it does. And so all these women, so the monster goes away. But here's the thing I don't understand, because if these women are still under the spell of man-hating, and they're like, "Oh man, this monster made us do these horrible things," but then this girl at the end's like, "Oh my God, we did all these horrible things," and so now that there's no reason for them to be kissed.
No,
it really isn't, because because the spell's already been broken, I guess.
Well, Bob Haney believes that if you get a taste of that dickin', you'll stop, believing in things like ladies have rights.
Yeah.
Because isn't that how it works? Dicks are magic. I mean, dicks are great. Don't get me wrong. But they ain't magic.
They ain't magic. Dicks ain't magic.
And I can catch a dick and still believe that I deserve equal pay for my work. It's just that's how that fucking works, guys. Are you laughing at me because I said catch a dick?
Catch a dick. My wife, guys.
I mean, you married me.
Uh-huh.
You knew what you were getting into.
This is the sort of commentary that you guys should expect from this show.
Aren't you glad that you didn't pay for any of this?
Yeah. No.
Free podcast, kids.
Free podcast, kids. Catch a dick. That's how this dumb book ends.
Yeah, it's this book is ridiculous. It is very of its time. Uh-huh. It is a lovely snapshot of its time. I love it in spite of its obvious misogyny. Yeah. But I really don't like the Super Sons.
No, though they suck.
I really don't like the idea of them. It's just it's weird. I mean, at least now, like, when we have the son of Batman,
it's actually Batman's son.
Yeah, it's like he's not Bruce Jr.
So who's Superman's son?
Oh, he has a name, and I don't remember.
But it's not Superboy.
No, he's not Superboy. At least not now. At least he wasn't. I don't know. But I don't remember what his name is. But they have a son. He has like his own name. He has a mother. And in the same with Damian.
Lois, is it?
Yeah, Lois is his mom. It's you remember after the New 52 where like the old Superman came back and they were like living on a farmhouse and there was a kid whose name I don't remember.
Sure.
Jason, I don't know.
Ooh, Jason.
No, I don't remember his name. But
Jason Superman.
But yeah, they were like, living out there and Damian is like, he has his own character. He's a Robin, even though I hate Damian. He's still not just a younger clone of Batman.
Yeah.
But that's what the Super Sons were, which is just so weird to me. I've never liked it.
No.
But I'd still read the next issue of this book.
Yeah, no, totally read the next issue of this book. And I have that Super Sons collection that I got from the library.
Well, we're going to have to take a look at that. There might be some crazy
shit. This one might be in there, actually.
Maybe.
I don't know why. I mean, I don't know how it could
I didn't even know they had a collection, so.
Remember how we went to like Barnes and Noble at one time?
Did we see it at Barnes and Noble?
Yeah, and we were like, holy shit, I can't believe they have this. And you were very excited.
Well, again, I cannot believe they have this.
Well, because these stories need to be immortalized.
Oh, they really need to be told.
This needed to be told. So, but yeah, that's definitely read the next issue of this. Big shout out to World's Finest Comics this week.
Oh yeah.
That's it for this week's show. Thank you for listening. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Angry Hero Sean on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm at Jen Stansfield on Twitter and Instagram. Find us on Facebook, Worst Collection Ever. Email the show, worstcollectionever@gmail.com.
And of course, please rate, review, and subscribe. And tell a friend wherever you get this podcast. We would really appreciate it. So thanks again for listening, folks, and we'll talk again soon.
Bye.